So this is how I plan on making the point larger, the same every time, hopefully. Not sure if it works. This is an old pen, so don't mind, but it's just putting it on the tip, applying pressure. I go for 1.5 kilo. Oops. So that is it. Now the point should be thicker. Although you can see this pencil, the cap fell off, so it's dried out, but before, after. So not a huge deal, but hopefully maybe if I approach the 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 kilos, it flattens the tip. As you can see, this one is flatter now. So hopefully I can come close to like 2mm tip or something. That would be nice. Well, I did this with another pencil, and I also shook it a little bit to get the ink downwards. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, because you can see here it flows a little bit out, which is nice. It blends in, but also some edges here are a little bit ragged, so that might not be a good thing to do next time. But as you can see, it covers pretty well. So I could try etch this, but this is the thin aluminum, and I can etch it and then, well, throw it away, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to use the heavy material. It's gonna be a tiny panel because I don't have much material. Let's see what happens in the higher frequency range. So I'm gonna do the same with some other foil, and hopefully it goes well in one go, because I don't have much of it. We'll see. So, I'm inside the shed. Let's wet this plate. Someone asked, did I wet the glass underneath, and the answer is yes. And I use soap, the same way people put like the stuff on the windows, you know, so you cannot look inside without losing too much light. Although of course it does block the light. So this is the only piece of heavy foil I got, and it makes a rather different sound compared to so this is much heavier. It's also the only piece I got. Always try to roll upwards from the inside out. And make sure it is clean. So here there might be something underneath the foil, or it's just the aluminum that is kind of fucked up there. I'll try and buff it out. Should be nothing under the foil there. Let us take a look. No, there's nothing there. So it's purely wrinkles in the aluminum foil that are quite deep. You can see hairs inside, so I left the hair here. Here another hair. Let's clean it. Not sure what solvent is best to clean. I use alcohol right now, but some people say like acetone or stuff you use for paint. You can still see some fingerprints inside, so not sure if this is cleaning enough. I'll get something else to clean and see what it does. Maybe something like brake cleaner would work as well. But I'm gonna use some MacP. The incredible smelly stuff. I'm not gonna throw the paper towel inside because I'll get dizzy. So I'll clean it and dump it outside. Didn't get that much cleaner, so maybe the fingerprints we see are kind of corroded in the foil, I don't know. And throw this paper towel outside. So. Ah, the smell. Okay. I want to be able to be to hard stretch it. I don't have a big enough piece to use like the stretching jig, so it is gonna be by hand, but still I need some room here to be able to stretch it and glue it. So I'm gonna start almost in the middle of this stuff. Something like here. So I got enough room around the etched stuff. X, Y, and I'm gonna up the speed a little bit. So 150 speed will be 140 speed. I'm gonna go at 3,500 millimeters a minute. Let's go. This is 0, but it's touching already, so that's not good. Gonna say this is 0. Gonna remove this point, but because it might fuck up my whole idea. So that's the fun thing, you can just clean it real quick and reset. So that's fun. I see it already. Because I shook this marker before, it was bleeding out and it became bigger than it usually is. But it worked out quite well. And now you can see it doesn't do that anymore. And now it doesn't bleed enough to cover it all. So I have to go either slower, let's see what that does, like original speed. Does not cover it quite well either. It's hard to get an even result. Might get there, but... well, almost. Good enough for me. So this takes a while, so I pause it. Okay, so it finished. It took 10 minutes. And there's now one thing that I want to try, because I noticed it making smaller lines here. And I think weight is part of the issue. So I might be able to just say, first of all, I'm gonna only redo the tweeter part, see what it does. Now I'm gonna add some weight on the slat, see what it does. So I need something heavy, not too heavy. Like a block of aluminum, for instance. A tiny block. It's not much, but let's re-zero it, just in case I made a mistake. Well, 0, it's actually like hovering it, so if it retracts, it takes the slat upwards from the paper, and if it puts it down, there's a constant weight on the tip, and now with added weight. So this is gonna be 0. Yeah, let's try it. See if this gets wider. I think it will. As you can see, it filled in the gap there, so the lines are wider. You can see here, this is where I pushed on it. It filled in some of the gaps that were there. It also smeared out a little bit of the stuff I already did. As I mentioned, with the alcohol-based permanent markers wiping themselves. Although this one doesn't do that to an extreme. But now the question is, do I pre-weight the tip to make it wider and then use a little weight, or I add a little weight to make the lines a bit wider, but I might run into it smearing itself again. I'm not sure, it's quite hard. But I have to try this actually with a clean new tip. I'll clean this up. But speed needs to go up as well. This was 10 minutes. Can you imagine you make I don't know, a taller panel, like 3 times or 4 times this size and a little bit wider. That would be like an hour of plotting, which is way too much. I could reduce that with this machine to like 30 minutes, that would be better. But still, I'm not sure if this is possible. This is only for like prototyping. I mean, I can come up with ways of doing this faster, like screen printing. Never did it, but I'm pretty sure I can. But that's only useful if you got a design you know is gonna work. Not to make a prototype. If you have to make like screens and such every time, that's not useful. For tiny things like this, actually, I can just print it. But, well, since I don't got the material right now, I want to use this method because that's what I'm trying to use for a bigger foil as well. So by printing on it, I know that works, but the test is not very useful if I do. Another thing is, you can see sometimes this one is really done for. Maybe you can see it, maybe you don't. That looks really light in color, but I'm not sure if it's only like the pigment that's holding the etchant back. Might be the alcohol with the whatever is in there. So this one is really empty. But you know, the lines you might be able to see in here might be they're a little bit lighter in color, but doesn't mean it doesn't work as an etch resist. So let's take a close look of how well this one worked. Pretty okay-ish. You can see in the shimmer where I touched it up, because it's a different kind of marker, it's more purplish. Like here, you see this? It's like light. Is it gonna etch there? I presume it will, but not sure. As a comparison, this is, you know, rather tiny. So we're quite close. So I cut this out, and by the looks of it, it's the only chance I got to test this. So, well, I'll leave it to dry a little bit and cut it out. Not sure if I'm gonna take a dinner first and then etch, or etch another day. Because I know I usually want to wrap it up in one day, but might be a good thing not to do this time. So this works, but still it is fiddling around. Adding weight, yes or no. Doing the pre-weight of the tip, yes or no. Or just use the original tip and add some weight in here. And see what kind of size line you get. Adjust the program for it and leave it as is. And then you got speed actually. I think if you increase the speed, the line becomes smaller. So that's something to think about. I think because it's, you know, it has more time to dump more ink and it bleeds out. If you go slow and if you go fast, it doesn't have that much time. You get a thinner layer, and it also doesn't bleed out because there's not enough ink to bleed out. So there's a lot of variables to this, this is what happened with the last marker. When I entered the shed, it was sitting like this, and now it's fucked. So I have to put the lid on, or whatever it is, thing properly, not like this. So learned something today. Well, see ya.